When you think about it, a gaming franchise, or any franchise is with that matter, always has a highlight to them. And I feel like the biggest highlight to any franchise is their characters. And any character can be very good or very bad. The most recent franchise that came out in 2020 was Friday Night Funkin'. True, this game is mostly known for its music, but I feel like the characters are what makes it a perfect game. Some characters are the best, but some are the worst. That's what I'm gonna do. This is the top 5 of best and worst Friday Night Funkin' characters. So you know, we're gonna be adding modded characters. And so you know, I didn't make this list on my own. I made this list with a Instagrammer named Layla Gumdrop 136. When it comes to roleplays, she knows how to dish out a lot of them, and she has a lot of good characters with honestly really real backstories, which makes them very good. Now, I would like to talk about some of her roleplays that we did, but I'll just say this: if I do, I'll be demonetized, because let's just say some of these are not as safe as for YouTube. But yeah, but she's also one of the people that also makes me happy. Anyways, now we got that out of the way, let's go to the best list and let's find out who is on the best list. There will also be some honorable mentions. By the way, for this list, there will only be Friday Night Funkin' characters. That means characters such as Pico, Tricky, and Sonic.exe or more will not be on the list since they're not from Friday Night Funkin'. But my version of these characters can count since, like Soft Pico, he is for Friday Night Funkin' for the soft mod. You know, a character that was honestly hard to know if he should be on the list was actually the Faker, or his real name, EXE. It was only hard to put on the list because his first appearance is in Friday Night Funkin', but the creator is going to make him a game, so that might be his real first appearance. So, for safety reasons, let's just not include him on the list. Now let's go to the best list and find out who's at number 5.
3, 2, 1, go!
One character I know that has been shown very little is a character that has a very tragic backstory, but still has her brother to keep her company. Though we know very little of her, I still think she's a great character. This character is Razzie. Razzie is the sister of Sulliver and the daughter of Ruv and Sarvente. Now you might be wondering, since we know very little of her, how can we put her on the list? Well, I have many reasons. Well, her backstory of being in the nothing void is something that is very tragic for me to hear. That if she doesn't stop breathing, is that she'll always think of her parents and be very sad, which is honestly heartbreaking to me. I also honestly love how the fandom will either portray her as very edgy or very kind to how she is for a little girl. Another thing that is very sad is that even though Sulliver can open up portals, they cannot go back to their real world, the canon world. Because if Ruv and Sarvente do not get together because of Ruv being so shy, they can never go back, which is gonna take forever. Now, for how little we know of Razzie, I can't really put her any higher, but she deserves the spot on this list, honestly. It comes down to the question, will the creator actually have them meet their parents again? Well, unfortunately, we'll never know because the creator of this mod has left the community because, well, these toxic communities speak from themselves. Man, I hate when this happens. Now, Razzie definitely deserves her spot on this list, which is why she's on the list. Now let's go to number 4.
3, 2, 1, go!
This character comes from the Fever mod. It is often mistaken to be based off of Sarvente. I'll talk about that later on, but this character is Tacky. Tacky is easily represented as a nun, but what you need to know about her is, as a nun, she's also represented to have a very killer instinct. You can tell she has a killer instinct by looking at her design and how crazy she is. She also has that chainsaw, which easily can be used for killing. And why else would someone carry around a chainsaw for no reason? And in the mod, she also says you will meet God, which honestly gives off the opinion that she wants to kill you. I want to point out that her songs are amazing, specifically her second one, and it starts off sounding like it's actually in a real horror movie, which is honestly amazing. Also, listen closely and you can hear a SpongeBob reference. That may just be very random, but I honestly like it. Tacky is also an alien, and believe it or not, go by he or she, because that's their pronouns. Now, most of us will just go by she, but she is also he for their pronouns. But let's just go with she since, you know. Taki is also not based off Sarvente, because before their mid-fight masses came out, Taki was already made before that mod came out. Now, Taki is only lower on the list because of how people think she's based off Sarvente and she's a knockoff Sarvente, even though she isn't. But I still think she deserves her spot on this list. Now let's go to number 3.
3, 2, 1, go!
I said before, I said the Faker won't be on the list, but this character was also hard to rank since he's also based off a creepypasta and he's based off the soft mod. This is Soft Mickey. Before I tell you why Mickey's on the list, let me tell you why he was hard to rank. Soft Mickey was hard to rank due to the fact that he's based off the creepypasta, mouse.avi, and he's based off the soft mod for FridayNightFunkin, so it's kind of hard to rank him here, but there is some differences that puts him in kind of original. Just like everything about mouse.avi, hey, this guy has gone through some trauma, and depression, and thanks to some things. They both have the same backstory, so let me tell you it. What happens in the backstory is very sad. Minnie cheats on Mickey with Bo Peep. Hey, Goofy and Donald get into a fatal car accident. Hey, Pluto dies of old age. Hey, we don't know where Daisy is, but she is no longer in Mickey's life. And to make insult to injury, his brother Oswald and him got into a big fight and they leave on bad terms. For Soft Mickey, Disney doesn't really make this any better because they just tell him to man up, and so he is now feeling a lot of depression here. And unlike Suicide Mouse.avi, who loves to hide his emotions through a smile, this guy doesn't hide his emotions at all. He's perfectly fine with letting the audience know how he really feels. I mean, after all this, is describing this character, I cannot help but feel so much bad for him. He had a great life and it's just all taken away and going downhill. A character like this, it's hard to hate him from what he's had to go through. You just can't help but feel so sad for him. And him crying at the end of his mod just makes it worse. I wish we had more information about him. Since he's mainly based off the creepypasta and the soft mod, I can't put him any higher, but he deserves to be on this list. After explaining all that, I just feel heartbroken after hearing that. Come on, let's go to number 2 before I cry.
3, 2, 1, go!
Number 2 is a tied spot between two characters. We couldn't decide which is better because we love both of them. So we decided to put them both at number 2. These two characters are Ruv and Tabby. Side note, if this was my own personal list, Ruv would be at number 1. But since this is not my original list, he'll have to do right here. Honestly, what makes these two characters so interesting to me is that they're both Russian, which for me, we barely see Russian characters. Both these characters also have some interesting backstories. So let's start with Ruv. Ruv grew up in a poor neighborhood with no friends or family. He believes in justice, but growing up, his society of his poor neighborhood kind of went on to him. Now he is wanted as a psycho killer. After a few years in gaining such a huge bounty, he met Sarvente in a church. At one point decided to trust Sarvente as she is the only person that cares for him. Now he makes it his mission to protect Sarvente forever. He's also immortal, believe it or not. Now on to Tabby. Believe me or not, Tabby is actually human, though that doesn't really look like it from his appearance. So Tabby is the ex-boyfriend of girlfriend, believe it or not. But Daddy Dearest was only using Tabby just for her to build up his music career. Tabby found out how Daddy Dearest had him kidnapped and turned into a visible man. The only thing that is visible is his bones now. Decided to add a skull so he can have his head be seen. Though not visible until the third song, he has a mouth. You don't know why it appears and disappears, but it is interesting. To this day, he wants revenge for what Daddy Dearest did to him, and the only way he thinks to do this is by killing girlfriend to give the sorrow and pain that Daddy Dearest will feel, just like how Tabby feels now. And Tabby's best friend is actually Agati, but unfortunately, he's not on the list. Sorry. Honestly, there's so many things I like about these characters, it'd be impossible to name them all before the song is over. The only problem I have is that Ruv isn't shown enough in his mod. And I wish Tabby got his revenge that he wanted, because I actually feel very bad for the guy. Anyways, those are just minor problems. Anyways, let's go to the honorable mentions before I reveal who's at number 1.
This is a certified hood clap.
You know, characters on the honorable mentions are good, but some of them are meh. But most of them are good here. But we just didn't put on the list because since this was combined the list. Now, let's start off with Sky. I really don't want to talk about her yet, but I will say she's definitely an honorable mention. OG boyfriend and girlfriend. Good characters, but can be betrayed as jerks in other mods. Yakuza, definitely a great character. Couldn't be on the list because since this was combined the list. The Faker here is a good character, but you know why he's not on the list. Soft Pico doesn't really do much in his mod, but there's nothing bad to say about him. Soft Spooky Kids, very cute. Nothing bad to say about them. Sulliver, Razi's brother. I like the character, I just don't like him as much. Witty, we all know why we love him. Hex, another character we all love. Sarvente, definitely a good character and a nice one, but didn't like her as much. Agati, definitely a great character, but the way his creator decided to use him doesn't really fit, which is why his mod was deleted at one point because of that reason. And those are the honorable mentions. Some could have been on the list, some have some problems that don't put them on the list. Anyways, there's definitely some great characters. Anyways, let's go to number 1 and find out who it is, because I think you guys are gonna love him.
3, 2, 1, go!
Honestly, going into this list, me and Layla already knew who number 1 should be. He didn't only make number 1, but he also inspired this list to me. Honestly, this character gives off a great message on what other people should follow. This character is no other than Soft Boyfriend. He also goes by the name Softy. Before I talk about why I love this character, I have my online daughter to tell you why he's at number 1. So without further ado, introduce yourself.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm Layla, and I am his daughter. So I am here to just talk about Soft Boyfriend just for a little bit and give my opinion on why Soft Boyfriend is on the first one. For my first opinion, I do have to say Boyfriend is one of the most cutest characters I ever met. He's so sweet, so adorable, and I just love his personality. He's so kind and loving, and he's adorable when he sings. I like the little scream part, but still, he's one of the most amazing characters, and I really hope that he could just have an amazing life except for his parents that you'll see in a couple of minutes or so. My third opinion is that Soft Boyfriend's design, oh my god, his freaking design is one of the most cutest things I ever seen. I love how it's so pastel. I like how it doesn't kind of look like Boyfriend. Well, it kind of does look like Boyfriend, but a little different. And he just looks so cute. I can just pinch his little cheeks. I don't think my father said this, but I have online adopted him. And yeah. Well, that's it for me. I hope to see you all soon. Bye!
And you heard from her. She'll be back later to join me for number 1 of the worst list. Now, let's talk about why I love Soft Boyfriend. As Layla said, he is very cute, and I would honestly agree because he is very cute. I'd say he has the saddest backstory or the most tragic backstory, but his backstory is very sad. With how his parents has shut down his dreams of being a painter and hurt him very badly, he had to run away with Pico. That is very sad and very tragic to me. I cannot help but feel bad for him and want to be his friend. Even when this guy knows what something bad's gonna happen, he decides not to do it. If you're wondering how I know this, the creator has said that Boyfriend wants to love girlfriend like how she does, but he knows if he does, it will cause them both to be sad and end up hurting both of them. And the biggest thing about Soft Boyfriend you gotta know for me is that he made me like Boyfriend X Pico, and that might not sound good, but here's the thing. First seeing original Boyfriend X Pico was not so good to me. I wasn't a fan, but after seeing Soft Boyfriend X Soft Pico, I started to like the ship thanks to them. Yeah, so if this mod didn't exist, I wouldn't be liking Pico X Boyfriend. So in all honesty, Soft Boyfriend is very much a great character and my favorite version of Boyfriend. Not only is he number 1 on this list, but he's also number 1 on Layla's list. Still, if this was my personal list, Soft Boyfriend would be at number 2 and Rel would be at number 1. But Soft Boyfriend definitely deserves number 1 on this list. And that's why Soft Boyfriend is at number 1. Wow, honestly, making that list was honestly very fun. It's very fun to see which characters I find great and which characters Layla finds great. Now, normally this is where I would end the video after the best list, but there's another list. Time for the top 5 worst Friday Night Funkin' characters. Honestly, you have no idea how satisfied I'm gonna be when I talk about number 1. Now, before I begin with the worst list, I should let it be known that number 5, number 4, and the dishonorable mentions aren't bad characters. They're more just meh characters or mediocre. Anyways, let's get to the number 5 of the worst list.
3, 2, 1, go!
I said in the honorable mentions that I do not want to talk about a character because they're going to be on this list. This character is not bad, she's more meh. I think she has a slightly more bad. Anyways, this character is Sky. Sky is more of a okay character, but I think she has slightly more bad. But before I tell you why she's on the worst list, let's go over the positives about her. For one, her Manifest form. Honestly, I like the design and I love the music of that. Manifest is not my favorite song, but the second song, Versus Sky, is definitely my favorite. When people come up with a backstory for her, for how she became boyfriends and fangirl, I tend to very much like those backstories. I kind of also like how angry she'll get if she doesn't get her way to get boyfriend. Now, I don't have much to say on Sky because I don't really watch her a lot, but let's just go over the negatives to tell you why she's at number 5. So if you've been on the app TikTok, you would know that the original creator of Sky had a TikTok and deleted it. Well, one, it's because of the negative reviews from the mod and because of how the creator would use Sky. But you could make the case that other content creators on TikTok have made similar things to Boyfriend's Wife Forever. But the thing is, for them, they don't make it inappropriate, because if they're one of those people that I've seen in their Boyfriend's Wife Forever's videos, you would know that she made very inappropriate videos. I know some, and I very much do not want to show them. The confusion of her age is also weird, because as the mod creator says a different thing, and same with the real creator. Honestly, if I was to try to tell you her age, it's more likely that I could be wrong. I feel like people don't like Sky for this next reason, is that she tried to take boyfriend away from girlfriend, and I can understand that. Now, there is a character that's in the more official Friday Night Funkin' game that will be on the dishonorable mentions, but we won't talk about him yet. I'll just let this be known. He does the same thing, but in reverse. Now, overall, Sky is not a bad character, but she's not that good either. But lucky for her, she's only at number 5, so she's not that bad or that good. She's only at number 5. Now let's get to number 4.
3, 2, 1, go!
To let you all know, this character is not here for the reason you think. This may be confusing since this is the worst list, but this character is actually decent. Now this brings up the question, if this character is decent, why is it on the worst list? Well, let's explain what we talk about. BP. I bet you're still wondering, how can a decent character be on the worst list? Well, I'll explain that after we talk about the positives about her. For one, I just want to get this big positive out of the way. I have a lot of nostalgia for XJ9 because My Life as a Teenage Robot is a classic show to me. Our next positive is that she has a gargoyle form. People mistake her gargoyle form for a demon, and I can see why, but she's actually a gargoyle. Something funny I like about this character is when she thinks she knows what boyfriend is saying, it's actually not. I also like this mod for its heartwarming ending. Now let's talk about why a decent character is at number 4 of the worst list. Actually, just for 2 reasons. One, her design looks too much like boyfriend. Now, this wouldn't be a reason if I didn't mistake her for a boy. And the other reason is I'm kind of actually getting sick of these fangirl mods. This is definitely not a bad mod, honestly. And the most recent mod, the Lexi mod, is like a fangirl mod, but also has a heartwarming ending. Those are not bad mods, I'm just getting tired of fangirls. Now you might be wondering, shouldn't BP be at number 5 since she's more decent? Though that is a reason we should put her at number 5. But looking at Sky and looking at BP, I feel like Sky has a better design. Well, at least for being a total fangirl. Now BP is decent, but her design is just not something for me. And it's time for number 3.
3, 2, 1, go!
I feel like this character is the only mediocre character on this list. Because if you really think about it, this guy is not really that bad if you really look at his character. Now, why is this character mediocre? Well, I'll explain that when we talk about Soft Monster. Now, most would consider this guy a bad character, but there are some reasons why he's more of a mediocre character. Now, usually I'll go over the positives first before going over the negatives, but for once, let's go over the negatives first. Let's get the obvious negative out of the way, that he scares soft boyfriend. Some people, including me, do not like how he doesn't really talk. Another thing is that he resembles Father Fairest on how he's been abusive to soft boyfriend. For this character, I don't really have a lot to say about him, but let's go over the positives on why he's more mediocre. Believe it or not, the only thing that makes him mediocre is, though he may scare soft boyfriend, we don't know if he caused any physical pain to soft boyfriend. True, he resembles the abusiveness of Father Fairest, but have you ever seen him do any physical pain? Or we don't even know if he did any physical pain. Plus, he only appears when soft boyfriend is fainted or sees his parents. True, he's a bad character, but honestly, I don't really find him that bad. He's more, I think, trying to help soft boyfriend. More likely trying to help boyfriend stand up to his parents. Plus, he does disappear after her boyfriend stands up to him. Now, this character is still more of a mediocre character, but I don't think he's that bad. Now for the next characters, where the next two are the actual bad characters. Time for number 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
From the music, you might be thinking I'm putting Tails Gets Trolled, Sonic, or Tails onto this list. But no, those characters are good. So you may be wondering, what characters could I possibly talk about, because there's only 2 characters that are from that mod in here. Well, one, they can't be on this list because they don't even come from FridayNightFunkin. No, the characters that do come from FridayNightFunkin are Troll, Boyfriend, and Girlfriend. These characters were my original number 1 for the worst list. Just like with Soft Monster, I don't really have a lot to say about these characters, so I'll try to make this quick. 1, the designs are horrible. I know they're supposed to be representing the Tails Gets Trolled trolls in the comic, but I just still very much hate their designs. If you're wondering, I consider Boyfriend to have the better design, but that still doesn't even make him look good. An obvious thing I should get out of the way is that they're trolls. It might not sound like a bad thing for people that don't know what trolls are, but to let you know, for what trolls are, they're just basically jerks that will just call you mean names for no reason. Like, trolls will just take one look at you and try to make any insult they can at you. And if you don't believe me that they're being trolls to Tails, let me give you a few examples. For one, at the start of this mod, you can see that they called Tails a noob for no reason. And when you start the second chapter of the songs, you can literally see Boyfriend doing this. Now, I don't want to say anything for any little kids that might be watching, so just don't ask. You can even see this happening in the original Tails Gets Trolled comic. The only thing that saves these characters are their songs, because they're amazing. But that doesn't really put them any good. Now that brings up the question, these 2 are my original number 1. Who's number 1 now? Well, we'll get to that after we talk about the dishonorable mentions. Well, you know, characters right here aren't bad characters. They're either just mediocre or just okay characters, but slightly bad. Now, let's see who those characters are. Now, I only have a few, so bear with me. Soft Girlfriend, definitely not a bad character. She's more okay, but the reason she's okay is because of how she tried to get Boyfriend to go with her. Very Dearest, mediocre, mainly because he keeps on trying to kill Boyfriend and because of what he did to Willy and others. Senpai tried to steal Girlfriend away from Boyfriend, but the thing is, that's part of his coding, so he's more of an okay character. Tai, only an okay character, but from one Pacific cutscene, I think you know why he should be on this list. Now that's all the dishonorable mentions. Now let's see who's at number 1, and finally, I can feel satisfied for talking about how much I hate these characters. If you guys still don't know who number 1 is, let's quickly give away some hints that we kind of gave away.
Except for his parents that you'll see in a couple of minutes
The
or
thing
so.
is that he resembles Father Fairest on how he's been abusive to soft boyfriend. And don't you guys find it strange that I talked about every soft character except for 2? That's because they're number 1 on this list. Oh boy. These characters are, say it with me, soft boyfriend's mom and dad. Before I talk about why I hate these characters, Layla, you have anything to say?
I just wanted to say the parents are and I hope they all burn in hell, okay? I would like you to all to know that I am adopting Soft Boyfriend and taking him away from his parents because his parents are demons who don't deserve a kid and who doesn't deserve a life, but to burn in hell with Satan itself. Thank you for all your time.
Okay, not gonna lie, when she said that, I was trying so hard not to laugh. Now, if there are some of you that are thinking that she is over-exaggerating about this, no, there is no reason for her to over-exaggerate about characters that are this bad. These characters are horrible. They literally shut down soft boyfriend's dream of becoming a painter just so he can grow up to be like them. And I understand how he feels. Having a dream shut down is horrible, and I would know. Long story, but still. These characters are so bad that I didn't even feel like including any of their songs. Their songs are good, but they're not saving them from this list, from number 1. Oh, did I mention that these characters are so abusive? Soft boyfriend goes through ADHD, anxiety, and PTSD with depressive episodes. Why do you think Benjamin lashes out on them in the Christmas week? He's clearly at his breaking point. The thing is, Mommy Marist and probably even the dad don't even think there's something wrong with their family, where there's clearly something wrong with their family. Thanks to them, Softy only has a few people that makes him happy now. That being Soft Pico, maybe the Spooky Kids, and even Neo Boyfriend. Honestly, when I keep replaying their stories of their part of the mod, I just can't stand how much I hate them, and it keeps on growing. And that's why they are number 1 on this list, and are forever the worst Friday Night Funkin' characters. That list was honestly fun to make. Like, still, the characters on the worst list, especially number 1, are very bad. But still, this list was very fun to make and to rant on characters I like and dislike. But still, thank you to Layla for helping me make this list. She mainly told me what the soft mod was, and if I didn't know what the soft mod was, I wouldn't have had any soft characters on this list, and to realize how bad the parents are. She also helped with this list, so give her a follow on Instagram, and her link to her Instagram will be in the description. The next video will also be a Friday Night Funkin' video, either top 5 best and worst characters that are not for Friday Night Funkin' but also have their mods, or top 5 best and worst Friday Night Funkin' mods. That will also be with a friend. See you guys later, and thank you guys so much for watching.